Welcome to the Wild Crone Wisdom podcast with your host Vinutha Mohan. In this episode, we explore the lessons from nature. If on a Sunday morning, an ancient giant sequoia were to give a sermon, what would it say? We celebrated Easter and Holi recently. Easter and Holi are for me a time of renewal and resurrection. We are coming out of the hibernation of winter and spring is in the air. Fresh and supple green leaves on the trees and bushes, flowers slowly beginning to bloom, and birds feverishly building nests to hatch their eggs. It's bustling with life everywhere. On Easter, many go to church to pray and hear a sermon. Often I wondered how it would be if we were to ask nature to give us a sermon instead. What would we learn from them? Well, I had a chance to find out. A few years ago, I visited Sequoia National Forest during the raging Northern California fires. Standing under the giant Sherman tree, the largest living tree in the world, and under the General Grant tree, which is named a living shrine, was truly awe-inspiring. These trees are anywhere between 1700 to 2400 years old. That is 2,400 years old. Standing in the grove of these giant sequoia trees, I felt truly humbled and inspired. How does a living being survive for 2,400 years? What must it have seen, witnessed, endured, survived, and coped with? To me, these were sages. Indeed, standing there, you feel that it is a living shrine. As I read about these beautiful sequoias on a Sunday morning, I felt they were giving me a sermon. Sequoias are described as strong, uplifting, inspirational, and enduring. It was interesting to learn that fire creates the ideal conditions for sequoia seeds to germinate. Heat rising from the fires dries the cones, causing them to open. The cones then rain seeds into the ash-covered forest bed. Sequoia seeds sprout best in sunny, clear beds of ashes. Millions of these seeds sprout after the fire. Those species of trees that cannot survive the fire get killed, leaving enough resources for these giant sequoias to thrive. What an amazing wonder of nature, and what wisdom is being imparted by these sentinel beings. It isn't that they don't have the scars of the fire. Some have been hollowed out by it. Others carry various signs of trauma and hardships. Yet, the hollowed out trees have now become a refuge for the visitors to shelter them from the inclement weather, kids to play hide and seek, and for romantic couples to take cozy, cute pictures. I imagined many a traveler in the days past seeking shelter inside these tree caves from the sweltering heat or rain or cold. Even when they have been damaged by the fire, they still fill their empty spaces with unconditional love. It reminded me of the great men and women, saints and seers, who were tormented and hollowed out by life's fires. And yet, they used these sacred wounds to invoke deep compassion and kindness in their hollowed out hearts, sheltering many a seeker for the rest of their lives. This is what I call turning your pain into medicine for the world. As I stood in complete reverence in front of the giant Grant tree, I felt it giving me a sermon on how to live life. Learn from us, they seemed to say. We thrive on fire, sprout in ash, and embody resilience, surviving for thousands of years. If we applied their embodied wisdom to our lives, then we too would use the challenges of our lives, our failures, heartbreaks, traumas, losses, betrayals, abandonments as fires that burn everything that is false in our lives. Our fears, false power stories, self sabotages, victim stories, lust, greed, etc., so that seeds of our soul esteem, such as our true magnificence, our soul destinies, sovereignty, self love, and compassion, can all burst open and sprout in the ashes of our hollowed out ego. Then we too can learn how to be strong, resilient, uplifting, and enduring through every challenge and hardship we face in our lives. Learn from us, they seem to say, towering over me, and yet feeling so comforting and nurturing, so safe and welcoming with their unconditional love and acceptance of me. One does not need to visit a temple, mosque, or church on a Sunday morning. These living sages, through their silent love, were transmitting such wisdom to me. Left to me, I would have stayed inside their grove forever. But unfortunately, it was time to say goodbye. With a tug in my heart, I gave them a warm hug. Thank you, friend, father, teacher, guru, mother, I said to the giant Sherman tree. May your silent sermon on this cool Sunday morning forever stay alive and fresh in my heart, guiding me through the fires of alchemy of my soul's journey. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Wild Crone Wisdom with your host, Vinutha Mohan. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist from the Bay Area, California, specializing in trauma and attachment repair. I'm also a certified EMDR specialist and a certified shamanic practitioner. In this podcast series, we delve into the journey of our spiritual essence having a human experience. While many social scientists study human emotions, thoughts, and behaviors, and others explore transcendental experiences, few bridge the gap to help embody the spiritual wisdom in everyday life. I call this the psycho-spiritual path. Through this podcast, I hope to share bite-sized practical insights for navigating life as an empowered sovereign being. If you found this episode valuable, we'd greatly appreciate your support. Please consider rating, reviewing, commenting, and subscribing on your podcast platform to help us reach a wider audience. You can explore more of my writings on Medium by following the link in the show notes. We'd also love to hear about your experience, so feel free to share your thoughts with us at Wild Crone Wisdom Podcast at gmail.com. Thank you for being part of our journey. Please be advised, the information provided in the Wild Crone Wisdom Podcast is intended for general information purposes only. Vinutha Mohan is a licensed therapist and healer. However, the content shared in this podcast does not replace or constitute professional advice, therapy, or counseling. It is essential to consult with a qualified mental health professional for personalized guidance regarding your unique circumstances. Thank you.